You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, it's Michelle. And today I want to talk to you about releasing. When you love someone that's suffering from addiction, I think the tendency that we all have is that we want to help. Our hearts, our bodies, our minds, we want to mend. We want to heal the ones we love. We want to be by their side, cheering them on, picking them up when they're down, reminding them that they have what it takes to get sober for good. We are usually their greatest gifts in life. And all of that effort and all of that energy that constantly, day in and day out, goes into trying to help the ones we love get sober, to live up to their potential, to finally become the person they were created to be all the time, consistently. All of the energy behind that on our parts is exhausting. And it's disappointing because we are constantly being hurt by the ones we love, because the truth is they haven't been able to get sober. That they hurt us with their broken promises, with their lying, with their manipulations into making us feel like somehow, some way, it's our fault. That we are ultimately the ones responsible and to blame for the reasons why they put the bottle to their mouth, or the drink to their lips, or they crush the pills, or they look at the website, or they just can't stop whatever bad habits they have. And you and me, most likely, were raised in a household where we believed everyone's happiness was somehow linked to our behavior. Or somehow, some way, if people were in a bad mood, it was something we did wrong. If people didn't meet our needs, it's because we really didn't deserve to have them met. You and me, we are the type of people that quickly take the blame all the time, every time, for most things. And instead of standing strong and standing up for ourselves and being our own biggest advocates and saying, you know what, I hear you, but I'm not going to take the blame for this. This is actually your issue. So I'm going to give that back to you. I'm not going to own that. I'm not going to believe the words or the lies or the manipulations you're telling me. You are in charge of your own body and decisions just like I am. Instead of doing that, instead of becoming our greatest allies and assets, we accept blame. And we spend most of the hours of most of the days wondering what we could do better to improve ourselves, to make it better for our loved ones. But why? Why do we have all of this effort? Why do we keep doing this day in and day out? Why do we drive ourselves to the point of craziness and insanity? Why? Is it because we hope that things will get better? I'll tell you why. One of the reasons, and there are many, But one of the reasons today is because we are afraid to let go. We are afraid of the feeling of goodbye. We are afraid that saying goodbye will end up with us being alone. And alone is incredibly scary. Because as soon as you allow your mind to go to a place of being alone, you think, well, how am I supposed to pay the bills alone? How am I supposed to raise the children alone? Who am I going to celebrate holidays with alone? Will I be alone for the rest of my life? What will my friends and family think if I'm alone? Will I get blamed if I choose to be alone? What does alone feel like? Does it feel as lonely as I imagine it to be? Am I going to be desperate and destitute? Am I going to be stuck? Am I going to be miserable? Am I going to cry all the time? Am I going to be broke? Am I going to be blamed? I know, because I used to think that way too. So I would hold on for dear life with two solid fists. I would hold on to this wreck of a marriage, to this skeleton of a relationship, because I was afraid of releasing. I was afraid of saying goodbye. I was afraid of alone. So I'd settle for nothing, because nothing felt a little more comforting than being alone. But here's the problem with that. When you refuse to release, you cannot receive. When you're so busy trying to make the best out of something that you cannot control, and you refuse to release, you do not allow the goodness to come into your life to receive better. You deserve to receive peace. You deserve to sit in your living room on a nice cozy chair or couch and feel a deep sense of peace wash over your entire body when you think about your future. You deserve to receive happiness, joy. When you think about your afternoon or tomorrow or next week, you deserve to feel a sense of joy. You deserve to receive comfort. When I say comfort, I mean a deep breath, a knowing that you are comfortable where you are, and that you are comfortable in knowing that everything is going to be okay. You also deserve to feel a sense of safety. When you look around your surroundings, you deserve to feel like you are in your safe space, that nothing can harm you there, that no one can hurt you there, that you are in control. You deserve to feel the comfort and joy and safety and peace. Those are your rights. And I have a feeling that if you and I went to sit down in a nice cozy coffee shop and we were to talk, you would tell me that those descriptive words I just mentioned were not something you felt in your childhood. That it has been a long time since you felt joy and comfort and peace and safety. And some of you might have never, ever felt that in your entire life, but you are desperate for that. So here's my loving question to you. What are you waiting for? Do you understand that you have one life to live? This is it. This is your shot. Don't you want to gain what you are entitled to? I know you are scared. I know the unknown is terrifying. And I am not going to sit here and treat you like an idiot and tell you every step of the way, every day of every hour, it's going to be easy. It's not. Otherwise, you would have done it already. You would have been willing to release, to say goodbye, to entertain the idea of being alone. But here's what I can promise you, is that joy and comfort and peace and safety seldom, very, very rarely come while loving someone suffering from addiction. I'm never, ever going to judge you or tell you to stay or go. You know yourself best. There is not one answer for everyone. But what I am going to ask you is, if you are going to stay, which you absolutely have the right to do, what are you willing to give up of those things? Are you willing to give up your safety? Are you willing to give up your comfort and live in an uncomfortable space? Never quite knowing what's going to happen next, not having any predictability, walking on eggshells. Let's go back to safety. Are you willing to live in an unsafe environment where you could be verbally or physically abused? Where there could be people in your house that you did not invite, that you did not welcome? Are your children going to be put in harm's way if their parent is under the influence? Are you willing to give up your safety? Are you willing to give up your comfort? What about your joy? Are you willing to give up happiness? Are you willing to live with a low-grade depression most of the time, or high-grade anxiety, wondering if this roller coaster will ever end? Wondering if the highs will come only to be ruined by the lows? Are you willing to give up your happiness? Or what about your peace? What about the peace of knowing that your future is going to be okay? Are you willing to not ask yourself, but are you willing to make peace with the fact that you don't know what your future holds? That everything might turn out well and everything might not. All of these feelings, all of these things that you're willing to give up, it's okay. It's okay for you to be willing to give them up. I'm not going to convince you that you should fight for all of them. If you are willing to lower your expectations and to give up 1, 2, 3 of them, that's your decision. It's your choice. You have autonomy. You get to choose. And you know what else you get to do? You get to say, today, Michelle, I'm going to give up 3 of those things, but I reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow. That's okay too. It's okay for you to wake up one day and say, no, the hell with this. I want all of them. And I want all of them sooner rather than later. So I'm willing to push myself into uncomfortable territory so that I can gain comfort eventually. Because that's what you have to be willing to do if you want to make change. If you want all of those ingredients in your life, and you are deserving, let's be clear. I don't want you to think that you don't deserve any of those, that you have any responsibility in their drinking or their drug use or their behavior. You do not. You are entitled to all of those things, and you can get them if you choose. Absolutely. That I 100% believe in you. And if you decide that you want them, you're going to have to release the relationship that you are in to receive a better life, to start receiving happiness and comfort and joy and peace. I hope that doesn't make you feel doom and gloom. I hope that what I just explained to you makes you feel liberated and empowered either way. Because whether you choose to stay and settle right now, or whether you choose to leave and fight for your future, either way, you are empowered. Because you're answering my question. What are you going to do? If you have the courage to answer that question and own it, own your answer, own the staying, own the leaving, fight for either one, then you are empowered. Then you are the one in control of your destiny. You are the one calling the shots. You are the one saying, I am making a conscious decision, knowing full well that my loved one might never get sober. I am making the decision that serves me or serves my children. And I reserve the right to change my mind at any time. Multiple times. You can go back and forth as much as you want. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I went back and forth, stay, go, so many times. That's okay. It's part of the process. This is confusing. There's no textbook for loving someone that suffers from addiction. Why is there no textbook? Because addiction looks different for everyone. And every relationship that suffers with addiction is very, very different. So there's not one recipe. There's not one formula. And if anyone tries to tell you that, I would challenge that. The only thing that is true is that you get to make the shots, call the shots at every stage of the game. You are not a victim. You are not helpless. You don't have to just go with the flow. You don't have to put up with what they're dishing out to you. You can take a step back. You can take a time out. You can find a quiet space to take inventory, to go inside and ask yourself, what am I okay with? What do I want? To stay? And if so, if I decide to stay, what am I willing to give up? Where should my expectations lay? Or to leave? What are you willing to release? What fears are you now ready to face? In either one, I am beside you with zero judgment, with nothing but love and nothing but encouragement. Because if there's one thing I'm going to leave you with today, it is a loving reminder to let you know you are completely and utterly capable of not only handling this situation that you find yourself in, but thriving in this situation. You are determined. You are strong. You are willing to bounce back and to refine and to get even sharper and better and stronger. And this is an opportunity. When you feel pain, when you are harmed by the ones you love, when someone hurts you, that you trust, that you care about, that you confide in, that you need, that you have a relationship with, when someone hurts you, it is your opportunity to go within and say, you know what? That's a lot of noise. And I'm not going to listen to it right now. Instead, I'm going to find the quiet and the peace within and the confidence that is laying within me. For some of you, it might be buried deep under many layers of pain, but it is there. Your confidence is laying within, and it is reliable, and it is trustworthy, and it makes you unique, and it is ready to carry you. And it has been waiting for you to discover it since you were a child. It has been there all along. It has never left you. Your confidence has never abandoned you. You have chosen to ignore it. You've chosen not to believe in it. You've chosen to belittle it. You've chosen to neglect your confidence, but it is there. It has been your friend, your partner, your strength, your courage all along. So discover it within you. Dig deep if you have to, because that confidence is going to save you. It is going to not only carry you, it is going to save you. It is your voice. It is your breath. It is your soul. It is your guiding light. It will tell you exactly what you need to do next. It will remind you of what you deserve. It will remind you of everything that you are capable of. And the best thing about this confidence that's laying within is that the only person that can discover it and recognize it is you. It's not a parent. It's not a loved one. It's not a friend. It's you. It's yours. You have entire ownership of it. And it doesn't get better or stronger or louder if someone loves you or approves of you. It's not reliant on outside influences. It's not a people pleaser. Your confidence is something you are born with. It's innate. And you have ownership of it. So if you are not in touch with it, if you have not rebounded yet, get quiet and discover it, because I know it is within you. I believe in you. I'm here for you. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with my personal thoughts and beliefs. We are bonded together by the fact that we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.